Can you even imagine what it's like to remember everything? I remember the 6-year-old girl who asked me about dinosaurs 800,000 years ago. I remember the last book I recommended.
In this video, we're going to do a deep dive into the 7 precursors you can find in Stellaris. I am going to attempt to weigh all of the various factors, all of the bonuses, all of the modifiers, each of the artifacts, and the special buildings. I have attempted to rank each precursor in a tier list. However, I want everyone to bear in mind that due to the large number of moving parts in this equation, personal preference and playstyle will have a heavy effect on how you view this tier list. With that being said, I'm fairly confident we can all agree on the top tier placings as well as the very bottom tier placings. Speaking of the bottom tier, let's start there and let's look at what we have in the F tier. In a surprising move that I hope very few of you didn't see coming, the Erassian Concordat are right at the bottom in the F tier. They are probably the worst precursor you have ever heard of. When you complete the anomaly chain and find their home system, you'll get a payout of Unity, physics output, minerals, some hundreds of minor artifacts, and the Javorian Pox sample relic. We'll get to that relic in a moment. Let's look at the actual system first. Well, that system isn't great. There's 10 research available, 10 minerals, 5 alloys, 10 energy, and 5 exotic gases that you can extract. And that is it. There are no planets, nothing else in there. As far as precursors go though, this is a relatively standard system. However, it's definitely the worst of the possible systems you could get. The only really redeeming feature is that exotic gas deposit, which if you put a habitat above, you would get access to building 5 exotic gas mining buildings, giving you quite a large exotic gas income from only a single planet. When you find this home system though, you do get your hands on a relic. The Javorian Pox sample has, like most relics, passive and active effects. The passive effects are that you get plus 20 liter lifespan, you get the Javorian Pox orbital bombardment stance, and double the chance to discover biology technologies. That first bonus is fine, but generally not going to be very useful. You'll find lots of other ways of stacking additional liter lifespan without needing an entire relic for it. The Javorian Pox bombardment stance can be useful. What it does is it does not kill mechanical pops, it only kills biological pops, but it does basically purge the planet. And if the last pop is killed, the planet will become a tomb world. It is only good if you are trying to purge the enemy pops, which 9 times out of 10 you don't want to do, given that pops are the most crucial resource in the game. If you decide to activate your relic, it will cost you 3000 Unity and grant you plus 50% biology research speed for 10 years. That is only one category of society research, which means more often than not, you won't actually benefit from it. Yes, you have double the chance of discovering biology technologies, but you will still need to research some of the other non-biology technologies in the society tree. There is little doubt in my mind that this is the worst relic you can get from any of the precursors. Once you find the homeworld, you also get given the chance of spending a large number of minor artifacts and diving deep into the secrets of this precursor. With the Erassians, doing so will grant you the next organic pops technology all the way up to gene modification. So if you are going for a genetic ascension run and you get this one finished rather early, it can be quite a nice boost. You also get the Secrets of the Erassians permanent modifier, which grants you 5% pop growth speed and 20% biology research speed. If you get the Erassians as a machine, you can only really make use of that Javorian Pox sample to purge biologicals from other worlds. And then you get something that is very new with patch 3.7, and that is a unique precursor building. The Erassian naval yards grant you +1 shipyard capacity for each shipyard on a starbase where you build this building. It's going to cost you some alloys and minor artifacts, and it will also increase the ship build speed at that starbase. Overall, it's really not that useful. If you have a massive limit on the number of starbases you can field, then perhaps you could make use of this. But once you're getting up a mega shipyard, or let's say you've just built an extra couple of starbases, it's not going to be that useful basically ever. If you do take the Archaeo Engineer's Ascension perk, you'll get a massive boost of plus 10% ship build speed to that building. Yes, that's right, you'll go from 20% to 30%. It's honestly just not worth it here, especially given the other bonuses and modifiers we can stack to far exceed well over 100% by the mid to late game. Next up we get to the C tier. There is possibly one of the other precursors from a higher tier that I could agree might need to go down into this tier. However, in the end, I settled with just the Yut in this C tier. Completing the various anomalies and finding 6 Yut artifacts will eventually lead you to the Yut home system, which is just as bad as the previous precursor's home system. If you decide to bite the bullet in minor artifact cost and delve into the secrets of this precursor, you'll be rewarded with the atmospheric filtering technology along with hostile environment adaptation as a research option, or a bunch of society research if you've already completed it or are in fact a machine intelligence. Unlike the other special projects, you don't get an empire-wide secrets modifier. Instead, with the Yut, you can initiate Yut cleansing process. And if you're enjoying this video, please uncover the secrets of that like button. This decision will permanently give you a plus 10% habitability modifier on the planet at the cost of 500 energy and a whopping 50 devastation. Now that devastation will tick down over time, but for a while, your planet will be hit with 50% less housing, amenities, trade value, resources from jobs, a 50% increase in upkeep, a 50% reduction in growth speed, and immigration pull. Pops will also not migrate to a planet that has at least 10% devastation. By the time you get access to this, you're probably already at 100%, if not close to that, on habitability. And by completing one of the 3 ascension paths or terraforming your colonies, you can get all the way up to 100%. And I think that situationally means this decision is almost never worth it. Delving into the secrets of the Yut will also give you access to the Yut Astronomical Interferometer. This one is a star-based building that will provide you with an unparalleled increase in sensor range and ship hyperlane detection. Taking Archaeo Engineers increases the sensor range to plus 10 and ship hyperlane detection to plus 20. When paired with some cloaking detection modules, this should mean only a single starbase will cover the vast majority of your empire, around 15 to 20 hyperlink connections in each direction. Whilst this building is definitely a fun one, I think it's quite thematic. It can also be very useful to have that extra sensor range from a tactical and strategic perspective during wartime and the peacetime when you're preparing for war. Overall, we do have other systems like espionage that can do this for us, and I think that makes the interferometer feel somewhat lackluster overall. Now at this point you may be a little confused why on earth I didn't put the Yut down in the F tier with the Eurasians. Everything I've said so far pretty much sounds worse than the previous precursor. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is because of their relic. The Yut Cryo Core gives 2 fantastic passive abilities. The first is +1 extra pops when establishing a colony, and the second is a flat plus 20% energy weapon attack speed. The main bonus for the Yut Cryo Core though is the active effect. Spending 3000 Unity will grant you for 10 years a minus 20% ship upkeep. Now in the early and mid parts of the game, that is not going to be so fantastic. You will probably not be going that far over your naval capacity, and if you do, only a 20% decrease will not let you field many ships. But in the mid to late game, as your naval capacity is hitting 1,000, then possibly 2,000, then possibly even higher, especially if you're going for a 25 times crisis run, the Yut Cryocore becomes indispensable in order to maintain the largest fleet you possibly can. If we were only looking at the relics you get from the different precursors, the Yut Cryocore would definitely be up in the A tier, not all the way down here. Now let's dive into the B tier. First up we have the Baal or Baal, and with this precursor I could definitely hear the arguments as to why it should be one tier lower. I ummed and I ahed about it for quite a while, but in the end I have tentatively decided to put it in the C tier here. This precursor has definitely received something of a nerf with the changes to minor artifacts that came in patch 3.7. In order to get to the home system of the Baal, you'll need to complete the various archaeology sites. However, with the current balancing, the minor artifacts you get from these archaeology sites are nowhere near as useful as they used to be. You used to be able to use a whole ton of minor artifacts and burn through them for lots and lots of energy. However, with 3.7, you'll barely be able to sell minor artifacts more than a few times as you complete the archaeology sites. The home system of the Granur is pretty desolate. It includes a size 20 tomb world and not much else. I would argue this is still better than the previous home systems we have seen because you can very easily turn that size 20 tomb world into a Gaia world by using a cheeky trick we'll look at in a moment, or just terraform the planet into your preference a little later in the game. And a size 20 planet is much better than a few resource deposits. Delving into the secrets of the Baal will either give you the epigenetic triggers technology, allowing you to uplift pre-sapients, or the terrestrial sculpting technology, allowing you to get your hands on the terraforming process in the rest of your empire. Secrets of the Baal Empire modifier will also give you a minus 15% terraforming cost for the rest of the game. Whilst it's nice to have a reduction, that's not going to have a major impact on your game, hardly at all. The secrets will also give you access to the Baal Organic Plant building. The base version of this building grants you 2 farmer jobs or 2 angler jobs if you are an angler. All of your farmers will also get +1 food and plus half a consumer good output. Now I am definitely of 2 minds about this building. On the first hand, I hate farmer jobs. I want to minimize the number of farmer jobs in my empire because having excess food is literally pointless. You can only sell it for energy, there is nothing else you can do with it. So you'll want to minimize farmers in general in your empire, and a lot of the time through either market manipulation or just using the star-based building, or possibly some tributes from another empire, you can get enough food and thus not require any farmers. However, if you're going down the Bioascension path, you might need a hell of a lot more food. And if that is the case, minimizing farmer jobs is what you want to do, thus increasing the efficiency of each farmer is still a net positive. I don't love this building, I generally think it's worthless, although if you have to use it, it is somewhat pleasant to minimize the number of farmers we have. And if you take Archeo Engineers, you'll double those bonuses per farmer up to +2 food and +1 consumer good. I don't think this small benefit would justify taking Archeo Engineers, just like the last 2 precursor buildings we looked at. We also, of course, get the relic for this precursor, and that is the last Baal. It will grant us +10% pop growth speed or +10% society research if you're a machine empire. We also get the active effect, which is we can use the new Baal life seeding decision. We can only use this decision once every 10 years, and it will cost us 3,000 unity. We can use this decision on any inhabited planet we own. It will take 2 years, and then the planet will become a Gaia world. On top of that, we'll also get given 4 new pops on that planet. It can be particularly useful to use this decision to turn that tomb world you just found from the Baal home system straight into a Gaia world. Gaia Worlds not only give you 100% habitability, but they give you increased happiness and increased resources from jobs. So the earlier you can get access to this relic and this decision, the better it will be for your empire. You can relatively quickly turn your core worlds into Gaia Worlds. But don't forget, we can only use this relic every 10 years. So the main drawbacks to this precursor are going to be how quickly you can complete the archaeology chains and find the home system, as well as the delay between the conversion of one planet into a Gaia world and the next one on your list. The First League are the other precursor that I have placed here into the B tier. Unlike the rest of the precursors we'll look at today, the First League do not give you an actual relic when you find their home system. Instead, the main jewel, the main benefit of this precursor is that their home system houses Fen Habanis 3, a size 25 relic world. A size 25 relic world is good for two reasons. First off, when you just take the relic world, you can clear some blockers and get an unholy amount of researcher jobs with some very good bonuses at very low cost, compared to having to build actual research labs and the cities needed to open up the building slots on any other world. Not only that, but later on in the game, it will give you the perfect candidate to build an Ecumenopolis world. Ecumenopolis worlds are the best planet type in the game for regular biological empires. Finding a relic world that you can turn into an Ecumenopolis is even better than just building your own, and that's for two reasons as well. The first being, you won't need to take an Ascension perk in order to build your Ecumenopolis, so this will be +1 Ascension perk saved, and also we'll get a special bonus for our relic world becoming an Ecumenopolis in the form of a +10% modifier to research output after you've completed that transition. Diving into the secrets of the First League is going to help you get that Ecumenopolis up and running faster than ever. You will get given weather control system technology, and you will unlock the research option for anti-gravity engineering. Anti-gravity engineering, incidentally, is required to convert your relic world into an Ecumenopolis planet. You will of course get a special modifier for completing this Secrets project, and that is Secrets of the First League, plus 15% to all industry type technologies, and plus 10% planet build speed. That planet build speed will stack with lots of other build speed modifiers you will have, and it's definitely quite a pleasant bonus. And last but by no means least, we also get the First League Filing Office's precursor building. Unfortunately, unlike the rest of the precursor buildings, this one is an Empire unique building. It is going to give us a whopping +50 Edict Fund, which is basically equivalent to 50 Unity, especially if you're overspending on edicts. On top of that, you'll get a planetary modifier of +1 Unity from all bureaucrats, managers, and priests. And if all that wasn't enough, your bureaucrats will now produce an additional +1 amenities. I believe this also applies to priests too, but I don't know for sure. This building would be absolutely fantastic to put on a primary Unity producing world. And if you have a world big enough, if it is for example an Ecumenopolis world, you could stack a whole lot of bureaucrats on that planet. Again, the main issue with this is that it has an empire limit of 1, so you can't put this building down multiple times on multiple planets. It encourages us to focus all of our Unity production efforts onto a single planet and try to maximize that. Given the amount of Unity we realistically need to generate in the mid to late game, I don't think that's a terribly bad thing. You don't need more than 1 or 2 Unity focused worlds across your entire empire. But it would definitely be nice to be able to stack that Edict Fund again and again and actually have a decent sized Edict Fund. Oh, and if you take Archeo Engineers from this, you'll get +50 additional Edict Fund, which is just terrible. This one is definitely not worth the Archeo Engineers Ascension perk if it is the only reason you are taking that perk. The precursors we have seen so far have offered us good benefits, but nothing game-changing. From now on, with the A-tier precursor civilizations and above, we're going to be looking at some massive game-changing impacts. On the surface, the Voltaeum star assembly look almost identical to the Yut and Arassian precursors we saw just a bit earlier. In fact, their home system is another one of these crappy systems that are just filled with a bunch of admittedly nice deposits. When you find and complete the 6 anomalies you need to get that home system, you'll then be given access to the secrets of the Voltaeum. This grants you a whole heap of physics research, and if you are a fanatic materialist that is able to delve a little bit deeper into the specifics of the Voltaeum's own research, by the way, that is research that they are living within a video game. Yes, this is the most meta of all precursors, but if you're a fanatic materialist, you'll get even more benefits. Possibly some downsides, it's entirely up to you though. You will of course also get a permanent Empire modifier. This Empire modifier is slightly different depending on if you are a machine intelligence or not. Either way, you'll be getting plus 15% to your computing research speed, but regular empires will get a juicy plus 10% amenities, and machines will get a modest but still rather good plus 5% mechanical pop assembly speed. And then there is the unique Voltaeum building, the Reality Computer. This is a very thematic building which in essence looks into researching the physical constraints of the universe you find yourself in, which happens to be a video game. In fact, when the Voltaeum actually found out they were in a video game, they took some rather drastic measures which I don't think we have the time or stomach to get into today. Needless to say, the Voltaeum Reality Computer is amazing. You get +1 science director jobs, and then the unique bonus unavailable to any other empire in the game of getting additional basic research. You heard me correctly, your basic physics research will go up by +1 for every researcher on your planet with one of these Voltaeum Reality Computers, and they are not Empire limited. These reality computers can be built on any planet with a tier 3 capital, meaning you can sprinkle them throughout your entire empire. And I just want to reiterate, this is the only way in Stellaris to increase the base output of a researcher. Why is increasing base output so good? Well, when you increase the base output, all of those other modifiers you've accumulated throughout the game, such as resources from jobs, which you can get from stability, or increases to researcher output, say 20%, there are quite a few physics technologies that do that, well, all of those different bonuses will apply to your +1. So in fact, +1 is more like +2 or +3 or even more. And if you take the Archeo Engineer's Ascension perk, that +1 physics research bonus doubles to +2. That is a base increase of 50%, and in real terms 50%, which in the late game is massive, to all physics research you can do anywhere in your empire that you build one of these great buildings. But ladies and gentlemen, we aren't even done yet. The Voltaeum are pulling absolutely no punches anymore. They now have a fantastic relic, the Voltaeum Reality Perforator. This is going to grant you a base empire-wide reduction in pop amenities usage of 10%. That alone is absolutely fantastic. On top of that, if you ever deign to activate your Reality Perforator at the cost of 3000 Unity, you will get some very good bonuses. You'll get a random combat modifier that lasts between 2 and 5 years. You'll either get plus 40% armor hit points, which is very good, plus 40% shield hit points, which is not as good as it used to be, plus 40% ship hull points, which is definitely quite good, and then best of all in my opinion, plus 40% ship weapons damage. Just a flat 40% damage increase, which is absolutely phenomenal. And if you are really lucky, you can get all 4 at the same time for an entire year. That is really, really good to fire just before you go into your massive battle at the start, middle, wherever it happens to be in a war. You can use the final sanction against your enemy of activating the Reality Perforator and dealing a knockout blow to their defenses. The Voltaeum are good. I'd say the Zroni are usually even better. The Zroni are another precursor that I spent a long time working out the placement for. I considered putting them in their own tier between the A tier and the S tier. I considered moving them up a tier just to be in the S tier. In the end, I've settled for them here in the A tier, and I think that is justified because for a large number of Empire types, specifically those not doing Psionic Ascension, a lot of the Zroni benefits aren't that great. However, even then, there is an updated feature that the Zroni now have that is completely unique to Stellaris. So let's find out why the Zroni are all the way up here in the A tier. Completing a series of archaeology sites will give you access to the Zroni home system. On a surface inspection, this home system seems to be worse than any of the others we have previously looked at. You only get 5 Zro from this system. There's no planets you can take or anything like that. However, Zro is a much harder resource to find out there in the galaxy, and it is one of the resources we cannot manufacture more of. Unlike exotic gases, energy, alloys, minerals, or research, we cannot artificially increase our production, and we are forced to rely on finding specific deposits and the whims of the galactic market. Before we delve into the secrets of the Zroni, I'm going to say this is the secret callout. We're over 26 minutes through. If you haven't skipped ahead, if you're still watching now, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know down in the comments below. If you want to psionically ascend, the Secrets of the Zroni special project is absolutely for you. It will grant you the psionic theory research option, which is the prerequisite to taking psionic ascension. This basically means the Zroni precursors are the psionic precursor. And terrifyingly, I mean that in more ways than one. Do not ask what the Zro is made of, people. You'll also get the Secrets of the Zroni Empire modifier, which gives you a tasty plus 10% psionic research speed. That is going to help you get to psionic ascension faster. But what if you're a Gestalt consciousness and thus cannot access psionic ascension, or you are so materialist you simply cannot fathom the idea of giving up on synthetic or cybernetic ascension? Well, there are still benefits to the Zroni. Remember those Zro deposits I talked about earlier? Well, generally speaking, you'll get a bunch of Zro deposits on some of the worlds where you get the Zroni archaeology sites. They can be instrumental early game if sold for energy credits in boosting your early economy. And with the minor artifact rebalance fully in place at the moment, they're quite a bit more useful than the minor artifacts you'll be getting, at least for the time being. Oh yeah, and there's something here about getting tactical deployable space weather. Yes, you heard me correctly. The Zroni get access to the Zroni Stormcaster. This starbase building literally creates a space storm in the system it is in. This storm has some pretty amazing environmental effects. Not only will it block sensors into the system like a nebula, it will also give complete shield nullification, meaning yes, this system is also a pulsar, and it gives sublight speed reduction. Yep, it's also a neutron star, and it will also reduce accuracy and ship fire rate by 30% apiece. If you take the Archaeo Engineer's Ascension perk and upgrade this building, which I absolutely must recommend you do if you get your hands on the Zroni, then not only will it have all of the previous effects, but it will also constantly damage hostile ships in the system. This polarization module gives minus 10% daily hull regen. Now, basically the way that works is while outside of combat, enemy ships will get minus 10% hull points per day. So in 10 days, they are dead. On the other hand though, once in combat, that reduces by a factor of 10 down to minus 1% hull points per day, meaning that enemy ships, if they're unable to repair, will all be dead within 100 days. So as long as you can stack subspace reduction modifiers in the system, don't forget we're already getting a reduction from the Stormcaster itself, but there are other star-based buildings, other space modules out there that will reduce enemy sublight speed. We should stack those and then basically laugh as their ships crumble. You can even take this one step further by becoming a bulwark, so you can get multiple negative hull regeneration modifiers stacked onto enemy ships. Just make sure you don't lose these star bases, because getting them back will be nigh impossible. The number of such modules we can put in our empire is only limited by our Zro production. And don't forget, we should have quite a bit of Zro being made from all those deposits we had from the beginning of this precursor chain. And if that wasn't enough, because of the nature of the precursors, only one empire can find one home system, and thus only one empire in the whole galaxy can ever build Zroni Stormcasters in a single game. And I almost forgot, there's also more. There's of course a relic, minus 50% breach into the shroud cooldown on passive. Of course, if you're not psionic, that's useless. You enable the Zro Additives Edict, which is alright, and it gives you something to spend that Zro on if you're not just throwing it into the market for energy credits, i.e. burning it. And finally, the last passive is you get better shroud odds. So as you can see, this is a relic heavily focused on being a psionically ascended empire. If you actually activate it, there are now much better benefits even if you're not psionic. You can choose between your ruler leveling up, which the higher ruler levels can be quite hard and thus makes this relatively useful. You can get plus 20% ship's weapon damage for 5 years, also really good. You can get stability, reduced edict upkeep, and government ethics attraction for 5 years, which is again good economically. Early on, you'll probably fire this thing off, but later in the game, when you have some better relics, I imagine you'll simply stop using it most of the time. We're now at the very top of the table. There is nothing better, in my opinion, than this final precursor. You've probably guessed what it is already, given the distribution of other precursors, but unsurprisingly, the Cybrex have been and will be the best precursor in Stellaris for I think a long time to come. Let's go through what you get when you find this ancient and decrepit machine empire, because oh boy, until now we've been dealing with petty powers. It's time for a superpower to enter the game. You get a ruined Ringworld, yes you heard me correctly, a ruined megastructure Ringworld as the home system of the Cybrex precursor. This alone is probably good enough, like this would put it in the A tier or at least the high B if this was all you got. And that's because having a ruined megastructure gives you a much higher chance of rolling the mega engineering technology which you need in order to repair and build megastructures. But wait, there's more. Delving into the secrets of the Cybrex gives you mega engineering as a research option that you can then take at your leisure. Yes, it does cost you 1200 engineering research to complete this special project, but now if you rush for it, you can probably get mega engineering finished like in the first 40 years. It's absolutely bananas. And when you do finish mega engineering, the first thing you'll probably want to do is turn your attention back to that ruined Ringworld and repair a segment. For the low price of 10,000 alloys, you'll get your hands on a Ringworld segment probably around the year 40 to 45. So we're going to get a ruined megastructure, and we're basically going to be handed the keys to that megastructure on a silver platter. But not only that, the secrets of the Cybrex will grant us a further 10% megastructure build speed. It's just getting a bit ludicrous. You can also build the Cybrex mining hub in every single one of your starbases. This building grants you plus 100% mining station output in terms of minerals. That is really good when you can stack it with other modifiers. It's going to make your mineral economy very strong. Archeo engineers bust that by another 50% up to a plus 150% mineral output bonus. I honestly don't think this one's actually worth it though for that Ascension perk, unless you're taking it for the weapon bonuses, which, yeah, that's something else we'll get into in a later video, but unless you're taking it for that, probably best not to use it here. And then I wish I could say we were done, but unfortunately the Cybrex is putting every other precursor to shame here, because there's even more. There is of course the relic, the Cybrex Warforge. This Warforge has a passive effect that allows you to recruit Cybrex Warform armies at your capital. These are the best armies in the game, and if your empire is one of the rubbish empires that can't get their hands on many good armies, like a synthetically ascended empire that can only really build robotic armies, and then if you do have biologicals, maybe some clones, that sort of thing, but nothing too strong. Warforms, on the other hand, are strength. And then for an active effect, at the cost of 3,000 unity and an associated mineral cost, you can convert those minerals you've just spent directly into alloys. You'll start by paying 2,000 minerals to get your hands on 1,000 alloys, and every time you activate the Warforge, which you can do every 900 days, a lot less than most other artifacts, that alloy amount will increase by 1,000 until it caps after 20 uses, and I believe 20,000 alloys, which is a whole lot of alloys. Later in the game, as your metallurgists become more and more efficient, it won't make a good cost sense to build alloys in this way probably. Though if you've got spare minerals lying around, why not convert them into alloys to make fleets or megastructures? I think it's safe to say when we look at all of the various bonuses and things you get given when you find the Cybrex, they are without a doubt the most powerful precursor in Stellaris. The origins of alien empires in Stellaris can be deeply fascinating. If you'd like to know what I think of the origins for your empires in the game, then click the video on screen now.